Last week I had the opportunity to go to a Nerdfighter gathering at a park in Indianapolis. I was full of inward excitement, but excitement doesn't seem to show itself outwardly in the morning.
Ready.
After brushing my teeth and eating a surprisingly loud breakfast, I packed the car full with instruments and sonic screwdrivers. Only the Nerdfighter gathering necessities, of course. Then I turned up the music and I was off. I was supposed to pick up a Nerdfighter along the way, but she was too sick to make it, which made me a little bit sad. Upon arrival, I was told to park in a neighborhood and walk to the park, since there was some sort of flower festival going on, which is probably just an excuse to get people in Indiana out of their houses. After walking in circles, I found a Nerdfighter friend, but I was too afraid to film him at first because I thought it might be a little bit weird. Soon after, I started to remember that these were Nerdfighters, and they didn't care about being filmed. They were just like me and wanted to have a good time and meet other people with the same interests. After a while, more people started to show up, and eventually we had a whole group. Some were a little bit more interesting than others.
Bring this up, like, oh hey, I have a cutout of John Green's face on a stick.
Then we played some music, and were able to be freely nerdy without being afraid of any kind of judgment we might receive. We started to know each other almost as if we were old friends, getting reacquainted with one another. I got to witness someone doing the one thing he loved most, magic. He wants to be known as one of the greatest magicians ever, like Houdini. He's practiced hours and hours just to get that satisfying response of "How the?" followed by a cavalcade of smiles.
Just as easily can go right up to the top and can move right back down.
We then went to a playground where I was able to satisfy my childlike appetite for curiosity that I didn't even know I had. We were children again. We felt like explorers who could experience life with all of its ups and downs. As kids, we lived as if time didn't exist, and our main ambition was to see how high we could climb a tree. We would see the danger, but we wouldn't care about its consequences. My childhood is something I don't want to take for granted, because every time I hear that someone, somewhere, hasn't heard of Pokemon, I'm reminded that he's robbed of a childhood. There was something about being surrounded by amazing people that was refreshing, even for an introvert. I had brought a guitar for others to use, and when Caitlin used it to play this song, it made me stop and remember about all the Ninglings. I realized that the barriers between real life and Nerdfighteria were hardly barriers at all. In fact, some of my internet friends can become real life friends, even if they do steal cameras.
Hello world. This is day 365. We're studying the Nerdfighters in their habitat. They're really weird.
All these people, in what seemed like a very short time, had become people I can call friends. People I can nerd out with and talk about Doctor Who with. The fact that I was with other people who could understand the things I find hard to explain made my head spin. And before I knew it, we were doing our traditional awkward group hug. There's definitely something beautiful about awkwardness, although I still haven't figured out what it is yet.
I don't know what to say.
As we left the park, I looked back in hopes of being able to never forget that day. I understood that all good things have a beginning and an end, but hopefully this was just a temporary pause between the two.